Hello guys, and welcome to this video tutorial. We're going to be building a seamless transfer application called Barter. So Flutterwave has actually made a milestone in making African payments and also making payments for developers very simple. So you can actually use the application to send money from wherever you are in the world, and they have gone a big milestone by even partnering with PayPal in order to make payment very easy for people across the world. So today we are going to be building a Flutter application, and let's call it just a Barter application because the application I use is Barter. We're going to just mimic a type-like attitude that where we can actually send money and receive money instantaneously, and also get the alert whenever we send money. But before you proceed, please make sure you hit that like button and smash that subscribe button so that YouTube can show this video to many people that are willing to learn how to build Barter application with React Native. So right now, let's get started and show us the demo. So I have these two applications here, one on my cell phone and also one on the emulator. Then on the one on my cell phone, I'm going to quickly log in. So I already created an account, which is very simple. If you click on create an account, you just go ahead and fill all this, which is very simple. Then we are going to log in immediately. So I'm going to log in with sam@gmail.com. And then for my PC, I can just quickly log in as well. So here we have that user. So each user has his own dashboard, and we are going to learn how to design these very nice interactive screens. Then we have each screen does have its own unique design with cards. We have with cards. Then we have the one for transactions, just that we didn't add graph, but you could see transactions of every user. Then lastly, we have the more. So in this more is where you get the account details of every unique user. So right here, I'm going to send money to this user on my Android emulator. So right here, I will click on more, and I will have to get this account number. While on my phone, I have to click on send money. I'm going to send 120. And I'll hit continue. Then I have to type down the user account number. So the account number is 444-555-111, and I can say send money to React Native. So we even use state management. So once I send this money over here, the price should increase, and I'm going to click on send money. So you could see once I send the money, the price, the account balance of that user increases while the user get that alert, while the mobile phone I used to send the money comes back to the dashboard. So the same way I send money here, we can also send money from this emulator to our Android device. So this is what we are going to be building with React Native. So before you proceed again, please do make sure you hit that like button, and I also recommend you to download the Barter application, because sending money to someone in Nigeria is actually simplified, or Ghana or any African country they support. It's very easy. There is a referral link on the description. Just go ahead and click on it, and you can create your own account with the Barter application. So let's now get started. Before we proceed, let's just go ahead and go over through some couple of packages that we're going to be using for, or dependencies that we're going to be using for our backend. We have the bcrypt.js for password hashing. The config is going to contain a folder with a default.json file over here that is going to contain a list of keys with values for, let's say, some specific keys that we want to actually put down manually. Then we have the .mv. .mv is also used to read anything in our environment variable file. Then we have the express, the JSON web token for generating a private token for each user. Then the Mongoose for the NoSQL database, which is pretty fast. Then we have Morgan for dev login, Socket.io for, we're going to be using this in the long run for notifications. Then we have lastly the UID for generating random user IDs. So let's now get started and start working on our application. So I'm going to bring down Express, which is going to require Express. And secondly, I'm going to bring down HTTP, which is going to require HTTP. Then we have the socket.io. It's going to require socket.io. Then we have the Mongoose, which is going to require the Mongoose. Then we have the config, which is going to require the config as well. Then we have the Morgan, which is going to require the Morgan. And lastly, we're going to bring down the .env, which is going to be making use of our environment file. We're going to require .mv or .env. Then we have to init the app with the express, and then we have the body parser. So this is going to be helping us handle our third-party data sent from an API as an object. Then we have the express.json, and then we can load our environment variables. That was supposed to be .env, not .env.config. Then here we specify the path to the environment variable file. So we're using config.env, and we also have to construct a server for our sockets, and we're gonna be doing that with the HTTP server.create server app. Then we have the IO using the socket IO. So this is socket IO. Then we can pass the server.sockets. And lastly, we can put down the DP configuration. So for the DP configuration, we have to use the config. We have to make use of the key values here from the config. So I can just say const of database equals to config.get mongo URI. So we are still going to check back, and we're still going to come back to how we can actually set up our mongo URI in order to make use of it. But before then, let's go ahead and do let's go ahead and make sure that we can be able to start our application. So I'm just going to bring down a port here. We're using the process.env.port, or we use a 5000. And lastly, server.listen. So this is more like a Express.js boilerplate. So we could say server started on ports, then we can pass the ports. So this should settle that, except that we don't have our MongoDB connected yet. So let's go ahead and start our application. But I think I also forgot to, or maybe I did, but I think I did introduce you to all the packages that we're using over here in our package.json. So let's go over and start our application using the npm run dev. So if everything went properly, it should actually start. It's saying it can't find module socket.io. We have socket.io over here, and in our package we also have socket.io. So guys, probably I didn't run npm install. So when you grab the boilerplate, make sure you run npm install from the Barter backend folder, and also npm install from the Barter app folder, that is for the React Native application or the client application. So let's give this some couple of seconds, and we are getting an unnecessary error. So guys, I think I should just restart my Commander and also my Visual Studio Code. So I think that's where the problem is actually coming from. So everything is restarted, and we can now run npm run dev, and hopefully that should start our application. So the warning that we're getting here is for our MongoDB, and let's go ahead and make sure we connect our MongoDB in order to stop that error. So I will just open my browser. So in my browser here, I'm logged into MongoDB app or the MongoDB website. Just go ahead and create a new cluster, and you can give it a name. So to connect, you just have to click on connect, and you can see the three options they have. They have the MongoDB shell, MongoDB application, and also the MongoDB Compass. So we are still going to be making use of the MongoDB Compass, but for now we just need the MongoDB application. So you can just go ahead and copy this, and if you want to set the password for your database, you just have to go over to database access. So when you create a new cluster, there is not going to be a user. This is just going to be empty. So let me just get rid of this one to show you. I'm just going to add a new user to database, and here I can just give it a username, which is Samuel. Then I can give it Samuel 123. Then I can just give this user some couple permission. I can give this user MongoDB Atlas, read and write data to the database, and which is recommended because every application or the client app is going to have that URI. So you just have to click on add user, and that solves it. And you can just go over to your clusters and connect once again, and you can connect to application and grab this line of text. So open your Visual Studio Code and come over to default.json. So when you paste it here, when you paste it down there, make sure everything is covered in quotes. The place you have this password, you just have to change it to Samuel123. So that will be your own personal passport or the password. Because once I'm done with the tutorial, I'm still going to get rid of it. So now we are done with that. Let's just go ahead and connect to MongoDB. So we can make use of mongoose. I wanted to put down a comment here. Connect to MongoDB. So we have the mongoose.connect. Then we have the database. So we can use the new URL parser, whatever they just put there. So these are the things that will make you to avoid unnecessary error. So we have also the use create index. It's true. Then we have the use unified topology, which is as well true. And also we have the use find and modify, which is a false. So when you are done connecting that, we return a promise. And if everything went successful, we just have to console.log out. We could say that MongoDB connected. But if anything goes wrong, we have to catch that error. So we can just get that error. We can say, we can just console that error. So that should solve it. And let's save. So let's restart our application once again. I think we have an error here. So we kind of get, sorry guys for that little pop-up. So once you're done saving that and you still encounter that error, just go ahead and install version 5.11.15. That should definitely solve any error related to that error that we saw earlier. So we can still go ahead and restart our application, and let's see whether it's going to connect. So I kind of console.logged out my database, and you can see we have MongoDB connected. So I still have to get rid of this one. And right now we have our MongoDB connected. Let's start working on our API. So we are going to be using Postman. So Postman is a tool that you can actually use to make HTTP or POST requests to your API without even touching your client apps. So first of all, we have to make a request to the home page to make sure that everything is working perfectly. So we can say response.send. We want to send the home page. The home page has been hit. Let me close the left pane. Then we also have to use some couple of things, but before we proceed with that, we have to come over to our routes. And here we do have two files. The first one is the auth for login and everything loading user. Then the second one is for user registration. So the first one we are going to be making use of is for user registration. So before we start making use of it from the app.js, let's go ahead and make sure we bring down some couple things here. So the express to require express. Then we have the router to require express.router. Then we have for the bcrypt, for the user password, we have to require the bcrypt.js. So you see a lot of recommendations for my typing. So that is because I'm using what is called tab 9. So it's a new tool that can actually help you, or a very nice tool that can actually help you to give you an AI or machine learning recommendation for your application. So it's a kind of autocomplete AI, and it's very cool. So I suggest you can still go ahead and get that. Then we have the JWT for require JWT, JSON Web Token, sorry, not JWT. Then we have the config, which is going to require that config from our root directory. Then we can, before we come over to creating the user model, I can just say module.export equal to router. Then here we can, let's say, perform some post requests for registration. So we can say router.post. Then here we have the request and also the response. So whenever we make a post request, we can just, let's say, router.send, let's say registered. So that should go ahead right now, and we can make use of /API/users, and we can just require that file from our routes or router/users. So if you got everything correctly, that was supposed to be route, not router. If you got everything correctly, we should be able to locate this file. So we have route/API/users. So that should be it. So if we got everything correctly and hold Control and click on that, it's going to bring us into this file. So let's open our Postman. Here we have two routes configured. The first one for the home page, the second one for the users or for the registration. So right here we are having an error, express.router. So this is supposed to be express. That should solve it if we don't get it correctly. So we still have an error. So we have express.router. Yeah. So I think it's because that was small caps. So go ahead and make sure that that's camel cased over here. That should definitely solve any error you encounter. So if I want to get my URL, I have to duplicate this, and here I can just type down ipconfig, and over here I can just grab this and come over to my Postman. So in my Postman, I have to paste that link. I want to make a GET request to the home page first. So HTTP, then I give it a port of 5000. So make sure you do that. So when we send, you could see we have the home page has been hit. It's a clear sign that we are doing the right thing. We are not doing the wrong thing. So if we kind of make a request to API/users and change this to a post request and send, that should definitely give us a response as well, unless we maybe didn't get it. So we have API/users. So that should definitely work, but for some reason I don't know why it's not working. But as we proceed, we are still going to see how we can use this. So right now we are done with that, and now let's go over to user registration. So the first thing I have to do is to create a user model. So user model is just like a schema. So under models here we have the user model. So let's just quickly go ahead and create that. So I have to bring down the express, which is going to require express. As usual, the router. So I think, oh guys, please, I'm sorry for this because I was kind of confusing things here. I forgot that this has to do with the schema and not the user's routes. So let me just quickly do that. So we can just open our models and inside our user. So in our user here, in our user's schema or model, we just have to bring down mongoose, which is going to require mongoose. Then we have the schema. So for the schema, we are going to be using the mongoose.schema. Then we can create a schema. Then here we have the user schema, which is the new schema. And the first thing here, we have the name. So each user is going to have a name with a type of string. So this is just a little bit like TypeScript, and we just have to set it to required of true. So guys, a lot of people told me not to use TypeScript for my videos. That was why I said let me stick to normal. Let's stick to normal JS. So for this one, we have to set the unique to true as well for email. Then we also have the phone number. So the phone number is also required because you remember that this has to do with registering with a phone number, or it all depends on your choice, the way you want to build the application. Then we also have a password. So for the password, it's a type of string with a required of true as well. Then we are going to have something called account balance. So this account balance is a type of a type of number, not a string. So each user, when they register, they will have a specific type of account number. Although that we can do this in a separate schema and then query it with one or two things, but let's just stick it to the user schema. Then we also have account number. Then the account number is a type of number as well. And we have a registration date. Sorry, what do I say? Okay, let's just do register date or register date. Then for the register date is a type of date and not a type of number. And we can set for this one we don't need a required because we are not filling the values by ourselves. We can just set the default to date.now. And lastly, we also have the user ref. So for this user ref, we have a type of string, and we have the default of empty string. So let's say the user had to refer another user, so we just set it to an empty string. Then we can just module.export the name of our schema. So the way we do it on Mongoose is to use the Mongoose as again, mongoose.model. Then we have the user, then the user schema. So the user you see here is exactly the user is going to be using on our Mongoose database. So coming back to this place, we have to bring in the user model. Then we have the user model to require from this is supposed to be models, unless we are not getting things properly. So let me kind of check that was outside. I think one. Then we have the models, and then we have the user models. I think this is double, not just once. Yeah, that solves it. Then we are gonna have a random unique number generator. So that happens to be in the utils. So this is from the utils. We have to just grab this from require, from helpers/utils. So what I want to grab here is get random. So the get random is just a module that I exported. Of course, you have it in your boilerplate. You can just go ahead and check it. So right now, let's work on the user registration. So whenever the user make a request, or whenever someone makes a request, the user is going to be sending the name of the user, the email of the user, the phone, the password, and also the user ref if there is one, from the request.body. Then we have to do some little verification. So let's say little validate. So we can say if there is no name, or there is no email, or there is no phone, or there is no password. Of course, for the user ref is optional, so we don't actually need that. We just have to return a response.status of 400 with a JSON message, a message of please enter name, email, password, and phone. So we are not doing something like more professional validation. That's why I had to just stick to this. Of course, if you want to do more professional validation, you can still go ahead and do something that looks more like Laravel validation. So we have to now check if this user exists. So we have to check if this user exists, and we're going to be checking that with just the user email. So we now use the user schema.find1. Then we have to search with the email address of the user. Then if the user exists, we just have to terminate the operation. So we can save the user. We just have to return res.status as well, 400.json with a message of user already exists. So you could see my type 9 kind of give me that code recommendation, because I've initially typed this. It's kind of predict things for me automatically. But in the case that the user doesn't exist, that we don't have a return, then we have to construct a new user using new user. So everything that is here that is actually required from the schema, everything you see here, the name, email, phone, password, account balance, and also account number, all these things that are required, we have to be the ones that will set it. So the first one is the name. So let me break this down this way. We have the name, then we have the email, we have the phone, then we have the account number. So for the account number, we are using the get random value of just 11. Of course, if you're doing this in a more professional way, you have to figure out a way you can connect, use a CBN API, I'm just saying a central bank API, and generate account number for each user that just registered. Then we have the account balance. So for the account balance is also get random. Here we just want 5, so we want the user to have some couple of amounts. Then we have the user ref as well as the password of the user. So the password is not a generate random. So this is just a simple object. So we have to create sort using bcrypt.js. So here we can use the bcrypt.js.generate sort. So when we generate sort, we can pass a number, then we have the error and also the sort. Then we can use that sort and hash our password. So we can say bcrypt.hash, and we want to make use of the new user.password. Then it's going to return an error and also a hash. So here we could say if there is an error, throw error. So if there is an error, it's going to throw error. Of course, there is 90% chance there is not going to be an error, because you have to make sure everything is nice before you deploy your application. That is the first principle of building an application that has to do with user authentication. You must make sure that the user must be able to pass the password stage. So we have the new user.password equal to the new hash. So let's kind of console.log that new user and try this out using our Postman. So in our Postman, these are the things that we're going to be filling: name, email, address, and password. So here, in the first place, I don't know why we couldn't make a request to API/users, but hopefully now I think we should be able to make that request, because I don't think that we do have an error. So we're making a request here. So you select the body, select raw, and here you select JSON. So we're going to put down an object here, and we're going to type the name. So I'm just going to use my name. You can use yours, or you can use both skills if you don't have a name. Then we have, secondly, I have secondly, we have email, phone, and password. So let's go ahead and do that. Email. Then we have phone. So for this phone, it's a string. Let me just add some random number, random digits. And I think it's remaining one more thing, and password. So for the password, you can just use Samuel. So let's send and see if everything worked perfectly. We should get, of course, it's hitting that, but we are getting an error here because it's kind of showing us there is something wrong with our bcrypt. So we have an error, illegal strings or function. So I'm trying to locate where the error is coming from. Illegal strings. So probably let's come over here. So the way I usually debug my errors is, first of all, I have to just comment this out and then console.log this new user. So let's send that again. So we have everything's kind of looking nice. We have the password as a string. Everything is okay, but we couldn't figure out what the error is. So sorry for that, guys. So I think the error is from these lines of code, and over here we didn't pass the sort. So definitely this should solve it now. Let's go ahead and send that again and check back in our console. So right here you could see everything is perfectly working. It's because we didn't pass that sort. And let's continue. So right now we have all this user and everything is set. So the remaining thing for us is to save that user. So we could say the new user.save. Then we can now return that user that was just saved using a callback. So inside here this is where we're going to be returning something for our client that is actually making the request. So first of all, we have to sign that user with a special token, and we want to sign with the user ID. So you can now sign with the user ID. Remember that each user is going to have a unique ID provided to it from Mongoose. Then we can give it a special key. So this special key makes it possible that it's only our applications that can be able to use that. So remember we're using Barter secrets from our config, from our default.json file in our config folder. Then we can give it expires in, we want it expires in 1 hour, so 3600 seconds. Then lastly, we can bring in the error and also the token. So we can say if error, of course it's gonna throw just the error. That's a 500 HTTP response status, something like that. If not, we just have to return a res.status of 200.json. So here we have to return the token to the user. We also have to return the user that just registered, but we want to make some couple of selections from that. So we have the ID, which is the user.id. We have the name, which is the user.name. We have the email, which is the user.email. Then we have the phone, which is the user.phone. We also have the account balance, which is the user.account balance. And here we have the account number, which is the user.account number. So make sure you type things correctly in order to avoid any error. And let's save, and we can now open our Compass. I think it's MongoDB Compass here. So while that is open, we can just go ahead and send this So if everything went through perfectly, we should get something in the body. So I don't know why this is kind of not returning something for us, but definitely this rest of status here. So guys, sorry for that. We can just come over here. So when we made that request, we made a perfect request, but I don't know why we are still not getting response. But let's go ahead and connect this MongoDB. So this is where I googled some errors in order to figure out what was happening. But coming back to our cluster, we want to connect our application. So I want to connect the MongoDB compass. So I want to copy this and come over to the compass and paste that. Let's open our application and go over to the config.default.json file. So this is my password. I'm just going to copy that and come back to the compass. So I just have to replace this with the password and connect. So everything should connect without delay. And we are having my first, okay, that is over there. So we have the Barter. So in the users, we do have a single user, but in the postman, I don't know why our postman is not returning a response for us, which is very bad. We are supposed to be getting something over here because this is where we are actually making the request. So in our server.js file, I kind of noticed that we are not using the Morgan. So I want us to be using the Morgan, so I can just say dev login. So for dev login, we could say if the process.env.node env is equal to development, we want to use the Morgan, so we could use app.use Morgan. So here I'm gonna use the Morgan dev, I think. So this is Morgan, not Morgan. So when you do it correctly and just put quotes, you're gonna get that recommendations. So let's save that and let's kind of send this again. You could see we have user already exists, but for some reason I don't know why we couldn't get exactly something from whenever the user is done registering. So probably I didn't use a return statement here. So let's kind of register another user. I'm going to register another user with just someone and send. Still the same thing, but if you check here in our console, expires and is incorrect. So this is expires in. So these are the errors probably that actually didn't work. So I'm going to delete all the users that we registered now, and let's try that again. And let's send again. So right now you could see we have the token the user is going to be using, the username, the user details as well. So the only thing we are not returning here is the user's password. So now we are done with the registration. We can now go over to the user login. So for the user login, we just have to come over here in our API. You could see the auth file, the auth.js file. So we still have to require most of the things that we're gonna required from the users. I'm just going to go up and copy those things. So probably almost all these. I'll come over here and we can just paste that. And also we have to bring in the user model. So for the user model, it's simple. We have to go back to the models, then we have the user. Then we have to handle for the post request. So let's say user login request. So for the user login request, it's just very simple. You can say router.post. Then we have to catch the request and the response as well. So we have to grab the email of the user, also the password of the user from request.body. So we have this simple validation we just want to perform, so which is exactly with the if condition. If there is no email or if there is no password, we just want to return a response to the status of 400 with a JSON message of please enter all fields. So sometimes I kind of spell fields incorrectly, but anyways, just help me correct that. Just type it on the comment if I didn't spell it correctly. So we have to now check for existing users. So we have to check if that user do exist. So we can use the user schema.find one. So we have to find one using the email. So the recommendation is too much. Then we have to return that user whenever we find that user and the user does exist, or even if the user doesn't exist, we have to return a callback mapping it to user. Then we just have to check whether the user does exist. In case the user doesn't exist, we just have to return a response.status of 400.json with a message of user does not exist. So that should solve it. And in case the user exists, we can now proceed and validate the user password. So validating user password is also very simple. We are going to be using the bcrypt.js.compare. So we are comparing with the password sent by the user from the request with the user .password. So I kind of, okay, yes, we are comparing the user, the password sent by the user with the user.password that is coming from here, from the user that we found that does exist. Then we can check if there is a match. So it's going to, the compare will also hash it with the same hash and compare it. If there is a match, we have to return a callback. So we can check whether this is a false or a true. You can just return a res.status of 400.json with a message of invalid credentials. Then we can still return the token as well as every user details that we just want, except for the password. So we sign the user with a new token using the ID as well, using the user ID, and we can get our specific token with the Barter secret. Then we also have to set the expires in 1 hour, and lastly we have to get the error and also the token, which is a callback. Then we can do every other thing that we want to do here. So as usual, what you're going to be returning is almost exactly what is in the users. So let's just go ahead and grab everything here. So I want to grab everything here and just come over here and paste that. So guys, if you've been following along, don't forget to hit that like button and also the subscribe button, because I want YouTube to show these videos to many people that want to learn how to build React Native application with Node.js. Then for user get, this user get is very crucial, especially whenever we want to load a user. So we are going to be using it to load the user to perform something like automatic authentication using the token. So we make a request to auth API/auth/user, and okay guys, don't worry, we are still going to come back here, but this is just for using the token for making a special route. So we're still going to come back to it. So right now let's go over to our postman, and I'm going to change this to auth, and the only thing I need here is the email address and also the password. So every other thing should be out, and we can just send, cannot post to API/auth because we've not yet added a link. So if you come back to your server.js file, you could use app.use/API/auth. We have to require routes API/auth. And we can go ahead and save it. I'm coming back, let's send. So if everything went correctly, we shouldn't get an error, and I think we do have an error. That's why your application crashed. So our error is because it requires a middleware router.use, but got an object. Yes, that's because we've not yet exported this, so we can say module.export equals to router. And that's just a simple error. And let's send again. You see, whenever the user login is going to create a new token for that user and send it back to that user, then it's going to return every other details that is only permitted to be returned. So we are done with the user registration and also the user login. So the next thing for us is to go over to the React Native application. So if you have really come this far, please don't forget to hit that like button and also the subscribe button. Welcome back, guys. So this time around we are going to go over to working on the application. So right there you could see the Barter boilerplates that are provided, although that we have some couple of things that we installed as well that we're going to go through. So I made sure I added React navigation. Everything that has to do with React navigation has been set, and we have Axios for making requests. We do have native base for components that are very nice and very good to use. Then we have reanimated React Native SVG. Of course, we made use of React Native SVG in this video for icons, for SVG icons, like manually made SVG icons. Then we have React Native vector icons. We also use like the normal conventional icons provided by Oblador. So that's what we're actually using here. So there's nothing much, but lastly we have sockets. I forgot also we have the Redux for state management. Then we have the sockets and as well the UID. So these are everything that we have for the dependencies. So when you come over to this source folder, before you come over there, click on this app. You will see I did set up some navigation. So firstly, I have the Crystal navigator. Then we have the authentication navigator and also the dashboard. So for this one handles, this one contains the navigations for the login and registration, while this one contains the navigator for everything that has to do whenever the user logs in. So when I click on any of these, you could see we have the routes, we have the onboarding routes, we have the sign up routes, we have the password routes. And also when I click on the dashboard navigator, we have the normal dashboard, we have the card, the transactions, the more, and we also have the send and send money. So as we progress, we are still going to make sure we build every screen and make sure everything looks perfectly laid out. So guys, before you proceed again, I want you to like this video because YouTube will show this video to a lot of people that are willing to learn React Native. So a lot of introduction. Right now, let's get started. So I'm going to first of all come over to our Auth Navigator, and I'm going to go over to Onboarding. And in Onboarding, we are going to do a lot of designs. So if you notice here, we have some couple of slides, some couple of onboarding slides. The only thing lacking here is just that we don't have something like a video title. So if you wish to add a video to your React Native application, like there was a big difference between the original application and the one we are currently working on. The one we are currently working on doesn't have the video that the original one does have, but in case you wish to add a video, you just have to go over to Android app source main, and over here you create a res folder. You could see a res folder. I've forgotten the other folder you have to create. Then you can put your videos file. But I think maybe at the end of this video, we are still going to see how we can add maybe 1 or 2 videos to our application. So let's still proceed. So scrolling down here, we are going to get rid of this null. And here we are going to have a box with a flex of 1. So I think time has come that I have to reduce this in order for us to be at least seeing our screen just a little. So this is just goes on standby, which is very bad. But anyways, we are still going to manage it and still flow ahead. So I'm just going to leave this. My screen is not that really large. Then we're gonna have two boxes. So the first box is gonna have a height of height multiplied by 65% of the screen height. And I'm gonna have another box as well. So the second box is the box that is going to contain everything that has to do with our tabs. So inside this box, we are gonna have a box. So this box is going to contain our slides. So let's go ahead and give it an inline style. So we have a flex direction of row. Then we have the justify content of center. Then we have align items of center, padding top of medium. So what I'm actually using here, for somebody that don't understand, is called restyle. So with the help of restyle, we can actually use XML-like codes on our React application. So when I click on here, it takes us to this theme file, I think in our root folder of source directory or components, okay, inside components folder. So you could see some things I put down. We have the spacing, we have the border radius, we have the text variants, and you can actually use your custom fonts as well, making it very simple for you to use rather than typing down styles, which is kind of sometimes very discouraging. So inside this one, we're gonna have a butterfly. So this butterfly is an icon. I'm gonna give it a width of 40 and also a height of 40. Then we are gonna have a text, give it a variant of title 1. So I usually like breaking things down so that we can actually see it very clearly. Then we have a color of black. We also have a font size of 30. We have a font weight. I think font weight of bold is enough. Then we have a text decoration style of solid. Then we are just going to give it a little inline styling because we just want to do something, let's say margin left that is not from the theme. So we can say margin left of 3, and inside there we just have to put a Barter text. So let me kind of start our application, or this is actually not showing. I think let's go ahead and refresh while we still go ahead and check in our authentication navigator what might be the problem. So in this app, I'm gonna click on this. So the onboarding screen is supposed to be the initial route. So that's exactly what we are seeing here. So we have the onboarding screen, which is supposed to be the initial route. And let me kind of give this a background color of primary to see whether it's going to take effect. In case your own didn't work, just go ahead and close the app and reopen that. That probably should work very fine because we do not have any error. So I can still get rid of this primary background color because we're going to be using a white. So you can even say here background color is white. So this is going to make a use of the white color. So right here you could see we have that very nice butterfly with a Barter, the Barter Flutterwave app. So I can even change this to Flutterwave. So let's change it to Flutterwave. Not bad, but also leaving it at Barter looks much neater. So we are done with that. So the next one remains the slides. So for the slides under this box, we're gonna have to use the animated, the scroll view. So this animated or scroll view is actually coming from React Native Reanimated. So if you check here, we have the React Native Reanimated. And inside there, we're gonna give it a ref of what is called scroll. We are just going to quickly do that. Then here we just want it to go on the horizontal, snap each interval. So we have snap to interval to the width of the screen, and also shows the horizontal scroll. We have to set that to false. Then we want to disable bounces. And inside there, we now have to like put down our slides. So we could say slides.map. Here we have to use the structuring. So I have the title, I have the body, and here you can just give it an index. So here, let me just give it a little bit of fragment and give the fragment a key of the index. Then we can now put our slide inside there, but I think here we do have an error which is not supposed to be. So I think this was supposed to be here. So make sure you close things properly. For some reason, I don't know why our application keep, shutting down or just going down. So this was supposed to be a scroll, and it's supposed to be a scroll ref. So here I'm going to bring in the scroll. We can use the ref from React Native, from React itself, then we can just give it a null value. So that should solve any existing error and still render our application very nice. So I think we have was that supposed to be a title or title 1? That was supposed to be a title and not title 1. So this is supposed to be inside the parentheses as well. So guys, I don't know why they are having such an error. Let me just quickly clear this, and we have title. So here we have the fragments with a key of index, and here. So guys, please, I'm sorry because I'm kind of confusing myself unnecessarily. Let me just give it an index, and oh no, that's very bad of me. I've forgotten what I do. So guys, let me just do this myself. Slides.map. So this is how it's supposed to be using the fragments with a key of index. So sometimes it's good for you to do mistakes sometimes when programming, so never mind. So here I have the body and here I have the index. So this should solve it, and I don't think we should have any other error. So right now you can see the application is rendering very perfectly. So we are going to bring down a component inside here called slide. And this slide is going to access some props. So here we are going to pass the title, and also you're going to pass the body. And inside this slide component, so I already have that imported. We're going to do some couple of things as well inside that slide component, because this is what's going to contain the design of the slides. I'm going to get rid of this one, and first of all we have to bring down a box and give it a width. So the width, we can just do it like this. We don't want a height, we just want the width. Then we can justify the content to center. We can align out all the items as well to center, and we can give it a margin top of large. Then we have a box with a height of 300 and also a width of 200. I'm going to give this a border width so that it can be visible for you to see it properly. Then we have a margin bottom of medium, and that solves it for that box. Then we are going to have the box for the text, which is going to justify the content to the center, align the items as well to the center. Then we have the padding horizontal large, and inside there we are going to have I think 2 texts. So the first text is for the title, while the second text is for the body. Yeah. So let's go ahead and save and kind of see what we have. So definitely, probably when I refresh or reopen this application, I should be able to see those things. So here we have the Barter almost ready. Do we actually have an error? I don't think so, and definitely we should be seeing something here, but I don't know why. So let's give this a color of black, and also give this a color of black as well. Maybe it's because the color is in white. So we are supposed to be seeing a graph, because, oh, sorry guys, we've not yet saved this. So when we save that, we should definitely see something on this part. So let's refresh. So I think let's kind of check in the onboarding. And over here we're using 65 width, so you can use 0.65 to reduce that size, and that should solve it. So right now you could see our text is actually showing, and that's pretty large. Let's come over to this and make sure that we fix everything to fit into the screen. So yeah, I want to use a variant of hero, and variant of hero makes the font size very bold, still kind of big, but let's still add some couple of inline styles. Then we have a font size of 18, a color of black, which we have added. Let me just undo. So get rid of that color. And at the bottom here, we have a line height of 20, a margin bottom of small. Let's go ahead and save. And you could see it's kind of looking more like our Barter application. Then for this one, I'm going to get rid of this color and add, first things first, I want to text align everything to the center. Give it a variant of body, a font size of 14, a color of black, and also a font weight of, let's use a number here, 400, and let's go ahead and save. So right here you could see that properly places everything. So if we do have a video, we can actually add a video in the middle of this small box. So I just added a border radius so that we could see the shape of that box. So going back in our onboarding screen, we are going to work on the login and sign in button before we can work on that thing that look like dots. So for the thing that look like dots, I actually got it from Williams Candillion. He's a very good YouTuber when it comes to teaching React Native videos. So I got that strategy from him. So I'm still going to implement it on our application. And here, all we need here first is touchable opacity. So inside this touchable opacity, we are gonna have a box. I'm going to scroll a little bit up, and inside this box, first of all, we can give it a width of times 0.8. So if we use times 8, it's going to go very big. So always make sure that you use points, because points are the percentages. Then we have the background color of Barter. Then we have the padding vertical of medium. We also have the border radius of medium, a margin bottom of small. Then inside that box, we can give it a text with create an account. Then here, we can give it a text align of center, a variant of title 1, and also a font size of 18. So let's go ahead and save and check in our application. So you could see this over here kind of looks very bad. So I think you can just justify everything here to the center, and also align all the items to the center, and give it a padding vertical of medium. So let's save, and you could see everything is kind of looking very nice and very organized. So we just have to like copy this one, and I'm going to paste it beneath this and still save. So when we save, we're going to have double of these, but we don't want to use the same color. I just want to change this to a primary light color. So make sure you use a color listed in your theme. If not, you're going to have an error. So with that primary light color, and then we can change the color of this one to Barter. So let me just add it in between here. So let's save, and you could see we have that Barter text over there. So we're actually done with setting out our onboarding screen, and the next thing now is to work on, sorry guys, one more thing, we have to change this one to login. So that saves that. So the next thing is to work on the create account and also on the login. So if you have also come this far, make sure you hit that like button and also the subscribe button. So quickly, let's go over to working on the login screen and also on the register screen. We already have the files created, so we don't need to create them again. We have the login file and also the sign up file. I'm just going to quickly come over here. I'm going to just create a function called on login, and also create a function called on register. So for this on login, we just want to first of all grab something from navigation, and what I want to grab is the navigate. So I want to navigate to login whenever we click on that, and also for this one I want to navigate to register whenever we click on that, and I just have to come over here and bind them respectively. So for this one we have registered, so I can say on press, then I can bind the on register, and for this one I can also say on press, then I can bind the on login. So that settles that. So in our application, when we click on any of these, it's going to bring us to that screen respectively. And over here, you could see we do have a title of create an account. That's coming from our auth navigator. So if you check, I think in this index.js file over here, if we check for the register, you could see we have a header title with create an account. So I'm just going to quickly go over to that register. So for the sign up, so we are going to start with the sign up first, then we come over to the login, and that is going to make us to start making use of Redux. So quickly, let's go ahead. I'm gonna have a box with a flex of 1, and make sure you put everything properly. And inside here we're gonna have another box. So for this one, let me just give it a background color of white, and for this one we're gonna give it a padding horizontal of medium, and also a padding vertical of medium. Then we're gonna have a box with a margin top of medium, and here we're gonna have a form. So that's why we actually use the native base, because with the help of native base we can use some components which are just manually customized, and that looks very nice for building a React Native application. So inside this form, each form will have an item. So an item contains the input. So for this one, we are gonna give it an inline style. So let me just kind of quickly create that style. So we can just say styles.create. So for now, I think I have to just create one called item style. We're still going to come back to style that. So for this one, we have to spread the styles.item style. Then inside of it, we are gonna have the inputs. So inside this input, I'm gonna have a placeholder with name and surname, and I'm gonna have a default value of name. Of course, we are still going to come back to see how we can create that name. Then for this one, we are still gonna have something called unchanged text, which is the text. And before we proceed, let me bring down the name and set name. I will just use the state and set it to an empty string. And here, whenever we change the text, we just have to set the name to that text that we just we are changing currently or actively typing. So let me just go ahead and save, and you see we have that name over there, name and surname. I'm going to copy this item and I'm going to paste it below. For this one, we have the email address, and this one is gonna have a keyboard type of email address, and here we're gonna have an email. So I'm just going to create an email. So we have set email to text that we are actively typing as well. So if you notice here, this is kind of not really organized because they are kind of joined together. So let's just go ahead and add a style, add the item style. So for the item style, I just have to give it a margin top of 20, and that should solve it whenever we save. So let me go ahead and scroll a little bit down, and when we save, it's kind of spaced out properly. And one more thing is, let's copy this, only the item, and paste it and close it. And inside of it, I'm going to put a button. So this button is actually coming from native base. So for the button, is gonna have a style of btn style. We're still going to come back to style that, but first let's give it a text of continue, and this one is gonna have a variant of title 1, a font size of 18, and also a font weight of 700. Then let's go ahead and give a button style. So let's scroll up. I think this one doesn't have a default value, so we can give this a default value of email and not name. So here we have the btn style. So the btn style is going to contain a width of 100%. Then we have to align the items to the center, justify the content as well to the center, and we can give it a background color of theme.colors.barter, and lastly we can give it a border radius of 5. Then we can just scroll down here. We already have the text that we wanted to add, a font size, and let's just go ahead and save and check in our application. So we are kind of experiencing an error because, and we have justify content to center. I think it's coming from the CSS. So let's save and let's check. So right here you could see we have a very nice login form, and that's looking pretty cool and pretty good. So I think at this point now we have to start making use of our Redux before we can proceed, because I don't want it in a way that when we finish the designs then we start working on the Redux. I want us to build everything together so that we can just flow along, because the video is actually going to be long, but we managing our time is also very crucial. So for this one, I'm going to bring in the navigate from the navigation, and here I'm going to create an onSubmit function in order to handle the submit event. So I have to check if there's email. If there's no email or if there's no phone, then we have to return an alert of please set all fields. When we set all fields, we can be able to proceed with submitting the button. So let's just come over here and say on press. Then we can put the on submit, and that should be okay. So when we click on here, we don't have anything set. You see, we get a little validation alert that's telling us we've not yet done anything. So the next thing now is to switch over to Redux. Once we are done with the Redux, setting up everything that we want, then we can still come back to our login and also our registration and complete everything. So if you've really come this far, please do make sure to hit that like button and also the subscribe button. So right away, let's go over to the Redux. And first of all, we are going to show you how you can actually connect Redux, although that I may not actually redo everything. So in the boilerplate, I already connected it. I just want to go around and show you one or two things before we proceed. So I think in the index.js here, you could see I used the provider and the store and wrapped it over the app component. So we just provided that app redux, the GSTS app redux that we just created here. Then inside the store, we connected our root reducer with our initial state. So this is just like an object showing our reducers that they are going to be using an object-like information just to supply us anywhere we are in our application. So we connected the root reducer, and inside the root reducer, we can find each single reducer. So for authentication, we have the auth reducer. For error, we have the error reducer. And for transaction, we have the transaction reducer. So for this one, I don't think we are still going to make use of it. So I can just get rid of this one because it's not actually necessary for now. Maybe when we want to do something more advanced, we can still use it. So, but sticking to this one is already okay for us. Then we have our actions. So if you check here in the store folder, we have actions folder, and we do have types. So these are the necessary types that we are going to be using for authentication. These are all the types. For errors, these are already provided error types. And then for transactions, we are going to be using this one to emit, send money. We are going to be using this one to receive money. We are going to use this one to update amounts, and also using this one to update the balance of every user. So these are it for the transaction types. Then for here, we have the transaction actions. So these are the ones that we are going to be using to emit the send and receive using the socket. So if you check here, we have the socket IO that we're going to be using to emit events. Then we have the auth actions. So this auth actions is what we're actually going to work on right now. So we have showed you, sorry for that little crack in my voice. I've showed you every single thing that we need. So let's now go ahead and get started. So like I said, first of all, we have to work on the reducer for registration. So I think I have to reopen this application, kind of being laggy. So while that is loading, so over here, we're going to be grabbing the new user that is going to be coming whenever we are done typing down everything. So if we go over to, let me just close under actions. If we go over to component/auth/signup, over here, you could see we have the name and also the email. There were some other things that we didn't add. So let's go ahead and add those remaining input boxes for, first of all, we have to add the one for phone and also the second one for our user referral. So beneath the, in fact, I just have to grab this. Let me just copy this down and paste it twice. Let's go ahead and save. So saving it is going to bring out those other ones, but for this one, we are changing this one to phone number, and the keyboard type is going to be phone, let's say phone pad, yeah. Then here we are going to create phone, and also we are going to create a set phone. So this is already set, we just have to add phone. Then for this one, we are going to add a referral code. So let's just add optional parentheses there. Then this one has just a normal text type. Then here we could say set ref. Then we can give this one user ref. Let's do this way, set user ref, so that it's going to be unique. So when we save that, even if we open that registration, we're going to have an error. So let's just go ahead and do every other necessary thing. And also we have user ref, it sets user ref of use state of empty values. And so let's check and cross-check that everything is set and the phone is also set. So going back to create an account, we should be able to see that to the two input boxes that we just added. So right now, let's go ahead and construct the data that we are going to be sending. So we could say the new user is equal to an object that is going to accept the name, the phone, email, the phone, and the user ref. I think here we have to import from our actions. So at the top here, we have to import from our actions. So we have to go back, I think, 2 folder back. Then we can go over to store actions / auth actions. Then here we can now bring in the register. So the only thing we have to do here is whenever we hit on that submit, we have to dispatch. So we've not yet brought in the dispatch. So let me just bring it here. So dispatch is going to be coming from use dispatch from React Redux. And we can just quickly import that as well. You have to import these from React Redux. So I have to bring in the use dispatch. And here we are going to dispatch the register function with the new user. So that's everything. Then when we come over here, let's kind of console.log that new user. You are going to see that we should be able to get every necessary thing from that new user. So here I'm going to be registering with John Doe. Then I can give it a john@gmail.com. I'm just going to give this a random phone number. I can leave this referral code optional. So when I send that, hopefully, except we do have an error, I say it can't find a variable dispatch, and I think it's because we didn't spell things correctly then. So that's why. So we have dispatch here, dispatch. So hopefully this time around, we shouldn't get any single error. So let's do that again. John Doe. Then we have john@gmail.com, a random number, and then we can send again. So checking back in our console, you could see we have email as john@gmail.com, name John Doe, phone with a random number, and the user of optional empty. So that's it. So the next thing now is to send this to our back end. But before that, we are now going to be making use of our Redux property. So we have to dispatch something called a type of registration is loading. So this to maybe we want to add something like a loading icon. We can actually use this to track our progress. Then we can now construct the data we want to send. So I can just stringify that data, just stringify that new user. So when you use stringify, it kind of make things very secure for you. Then we can now use our Axios. So our Axios is used for making a post or GET request. So we are going to be making a post request to our backend using the URL of API URI /API/users, and we can pass in the data we want to send, and then we can set the headers. So headers are used to specify the content type. So in case it doesn't meet this content type, it's going to actually throw an error. So we set it to content type of application.json. Then this is a promise. We have to return the response. And in case we do have an error, we have to also catch the error. So So for the error, let's go ahead and handle the error first before we come back to the response. So for the error, whenever we do have an error, we will want to notify the user that the registration has stopped. So we dispatch something called registration fail, and we also dispatch an error message. So we're going to be using the return error. So return error is coming from the errors action. So it's going to accept the message, the status, and also the ID. Although we are not going to make use of the ID, but I can still show you how you can make use of the ID, which is also pretty cool. So we pass the error.response .data.message, then we pass error.response.status, and lastly we can just give this an ID. So let's just give it a register fail ID. So an ID is used in your components whenever the error ID is exactly this. We then can throw an error message or show the user a customized error message. So coming back to this registration, if things went properly, we are going to return something called token. So if you recall, I think in one of the steps when we started earlier, I showed you how we can actually do this using Postman, and we were able to see our token. So we want to store this token in our local storage. So because we are going to be using this token whenever the user opens the application to actually load that current user, then we can now dispatch a type of clear errors. So clear errors is going to clear any error in our error reducer and in our error reducer message. And also lastly, we can now dispatch a type of register success. The register success just accept the payload. So this is not supposed to be this way because we already have the constant defined from our types. Then we can pass the payload of the response.data. So that solves it for that registration. So if you come over to Auth Reducer, if you check here, okay, I already left these things for you. So even in your boilerplate, you should be able to see it. If you check here, we have register success. So what you're actually passing here is the payload, and we reset every single thing from our initial state. So if you check here, we have an initial state of is authenticated, then that current user, the account balance of that user, account balance, the user email, the user phone, the user ref, the registration loading, log loading. So if you check here, these are just Boolean values that we can actually use to track each progress. And here we have whenever the registration is loading, just like I did here, just like I did dispatch here, all we just simply did is to reset this reg loading to true in order to show something like a spinner. Although we are not going to be using in this tutorial, I'm just giving you a very good example. Show you something like a spinner, you can actually use it. Also log loading, both of them are the same thing. Then whenever the user is loading, it's going to show is loading to true. You can also use it whenever the application opens up, it's going to show something like a spinner. Then whenever any of these things fails, we have to reset those values to false. So if you check here, both reg loading and also log loading is false. Then whenever we register successfully as well, we have to reset every single value. The only thing we set to true is authenticated, because we are going to be using it to move to the next screen whenever we log in or register successfully. So hopefully when we try to register now, we should be able to make a perfect request to our API. So I'm going to put my console on the left side. So let me just kind of reduce this a little bit and let's send this. So if we send this, hopefully, okay, it's not going to work because we've not yet set the API IP address perfectly. I'm going to come over here. So this is the wrong IP address I'm using. I have to just duplicate this. So let me just duplicate this to the bottom. I just have to type down ipconfig, and it's going to give me my current IP address for that current internet home. So hopefully now, so after refreshing, when we send again, it's going to work. So let's just make it work fast. And let's go over to create an account. We have John Doe. We have john@gmail.com. Then we have the phone number. Let's just give it a random phone number and we can just send. and I think we did get an error that says you couldn't find error.response.data. And let's check whether the request was able to make. We couldn't make a request, so let me just kind of check why we couldn't make a request. So guys, I was able to figure out what the problem was. We didn't actually have an issue here. Our codes were correct, just that here we did use the post. So hopefully when we kind of, let me just clear this and use John Doe again. And over here we're using john@gmail.com. Then we can go ahead and give this a random number. So let's send and see again. I think we should quickly refresh, but I think they still didn't work. Okay, let's allow the refresh and try again. So we have John Doe. We have john@gmail.com, and then can give it then let's try. So you could see once I send that, you could see we are able to make that request to API/users, but we are still getting an error, and I think we are not supposed to be getting an error, because right here we are returning probably, I don't know why you are getting an error. So let me kind of quickly check once more. So, and that's because I didn't add the password. So we are actually sending a data without password, which is very bad of us. And let me just do this quickly. So we have password and also set password, and over here after the email address, we can now add a password. So let me just grab this and paste it down, and we can just change this to password. So we could say the keyboard, or let's just leave it this way. Because we also want to see the password. So I can just set this to password, and for this one I can just set it to set password. So let's save, and hopefully this time around I shouldn't get an error. So we have John Doe, then we have john@gmail.com. Then for the password I'm just going to use Samuel, and then I can give a random phone number, and let's hit OK. So we are still getting an error, but it's kind of okay. Let's check in our console. The error is still showing us undefined. And okay, sorry guys, I think I've not yet passed the password, so let's pass that password, and this time around let's check, and everything works perfectly. So that was because we didn't initially have a password. And if we open our MongoDB Compass and refresh, so right here you could see we have that user John Doe, john@gmail.com, and then we have the password. So the next thing remaining now is for us to log in, and let's just quickly go ahead and do that. It's just kind of similar to the way the registration is. Then we can just go over to the auth actions, and let's quickly create that. So we have login the user, and we can use export const of login. And for the login, we are going to be using the email and the password to log in. So this time around, we make sure that we don't forget anything in order to avoid error. Then I'm going to dispatch log loading. So we have a type of log loading. Then after that, we have to make a request to log in. So guys, don't forget to hit that like button. So we have to first of all stringify our data that we're going to be sending. So we want to stringify the email and also the password, because this one we are not passing it as an object, so we just have to construct it. Then we use the await axios Then here we have a method of post. We have a URL of API URI /API/auth /data. So the data is our data. Then we pass the headers. So don't forget, usually we have this content type. Then as usual, we first of all handle the error. So just some couple of typos here. Using the catch, we can handle the error. So for the error, we have to first of all stop that log loading. So we're going to dispatch a type of login fail. In case we do have an error, then we have to also dispatch a type of return errors. We have the error.response.data.message as well as the error.response.status. Then lastly, we can now give it a separate ID. We have login fail. So that solves it. And here, whenever we log in perfectly, remember that we are going to return the token and the user from our response.data. So we have the token and also the user. Then we can just use the assign storage and set item token. Then we pass that token. Then we can dispatch a type of clear errors and also dispatch a type of login success. Then we can pass a payload of response.data. So let's go ahead and save that. And for this user was supposed to be coming from in fact, we don't need the user here. So the token is already enough for us because the response.data already contain the token as well as the user. So let's go back to our login. So one more thing we didn't do is that whenever we log in, we have to navigate, or whenever we register, we have to navigate to another screen, but we are still going to come back to that. So going back to our login components. So in the login component, we've not yet done anything. So let's just quickly go ahead and do things. As usual, we have the box of flex of 1. Then inside here, we're gonna have before we proceed, give it a background color of white. Then we're going to have a box with a padding horizontal of medium, padding vertical of medium as well. Then we have text. So this text is like whether you are creating an account or signing back in. Let's start with your email and password. So it's just a text. If you wish to type it down, you can just go ahead and type it down. Then beneath that, we're going to have a box. So this box, we're going to give it a margin top of medium, and then we have a form. So like we did for the registration, for the item style, we're going to have the item style as well as the button style. So we are going to grab that CSS from the sign up. So let me just quickly grab that. And let's come over here and paste that. So make sure you have everything imported in order to avoid error. So the first one is, or instead of us to type this down, why don't we just go ahead and grab it from our sign up in order to reduce our time. And here we can just paste that. So I just have to paste it twice and that should be okay. Then we can change this one to email address. Okay, this one is already set, email address. Then we have this one as password. So I know that we are not yet hiding that password. You can just Google around. I can't remember what you can actually use now to actually hide that password, but it's just something that's very simple, very basic. So for the email is already enough because that is not the same place we are putting the password. So we have these inputs that is going to set our email. So let's just go ahead and quickly set the email. So guys, I kind of realized that we actually did some things very fast for our registration, which we are not supposed to do, but don't worry, we are still going to see why. Then we are going to create an onlogin function. Then we have to navigate to the password component. Whenever we hit an onlogin, then we can pass this data. So I'm going to pass an email here, and so this is the data. I think it's supposed to be an object. Then we have the data, we have an email, and here we have a type of login. Then one more thing we've not yet added is the button. So just copy this down here. So here we're gonna have a button. Give it a style of styles.button style, btn style. Then inside of it we have this text of continue, and let's type the text is a variant of title 1, font size of 18, and also a font weight of 700. Then for the onPress, we just have to pass the onlogin. So that solves it. So let's save. Kind of looking very ugly. Because I don't actually know why. For some reason, I don't know why the CSS is not trying to pick up, but it's kind of working perfectly here. And when we apply the CSS here, okay guys, that was supposed to be style, then I didn't spell this correctly. That's very bad of me. So that's very bad of me. So because I was kind of surprised, why are we not getting this nice button? So when we log in, we have to navigate to password with the data and also a type of login. So that was why I said that if you check back in our sign up, we kind of rushed things over here. That was why we actually got that error, because we never had a password. So, but we still don't have an issue. That is okay as well. But if you still wish to move forward to using password as well, no problem with that. So when we go over to the password component, when we click on this login, let's say I want to log in with, let's say john@gmail.com, and I click on continue, it's going to bring me over here with that data. So let's work on that as well. And before we work on that, quickly, I think we should just restructure everything that we did here. So instead of me to dispatch register here, it's very simple. I can now use the navigation. So let me just quickly bring that. Okay, it's already there. You can just navigate to password, and we can pass data as the new user, and then we have the type of register. So for this login here, we have the type of login. For register, we have the type of register. Quickly, let's go ahead and fix this. So here we have a flex of 1, a background color of white, and let me just break this down. So we have justify content to flex stats, position of relative. Then inside here we're gonna have another box. So we have a padding horizontal of medium, padding vertical of medium as well. Then we have inside this box a margin top of medium. So we're gonna have a box, And inside that box, this one is going to be used for our error messages, but we're still going to come back to that. Then beneath that, we're going to have a form. So this is supposed to be a form, and inside that form, I just have to go ahead and grab exactly what we did here as well. So you can grab the CSS as well as most of the inputs and bring it over here. So this is for the CSS. Then for the inputs, we just have to take only one input. So you can just paste that and it gives us that same CSS. So let's kind of construct the password, reset password of useState of empty string. Then here we have to put the password, and we can change this one to set password. We can now save. So the only thing remaining also is the button. Let's grab button from any of these. So beneath this, I can just put the button, and we can now so for this one, it's going to be with a ternary operator. So we are going to say if the type is login, we have to return login, else we have to return register. So both the type and everything, we are going to create that at the topmost. So coming at the top here, so whenever we come over to this component, the first thing we have to do is to grab the type and the data from our routes. So I will grab the data and also the type from routes.params. Then we kind bring down dispatch, because we're going to be now using the dispatch over here. Equals to use dispatch. Also, don't forget to bring in navigate from navigation. So that's it for that. Then we have one more thing. We have for the message, for the error messages, we're going to be grabbing this using the use selector from our state. We have to target the state.auth. So any error message that is passed from our action over here, from our error action, remember that we can pass it to state.auth, then we can grab that message over here. Then one more thing remaining is to add an onSubmit function. So we could say if the type is equals to register. So we have equals to register. We have to grab the name, email from the data. Don't forget the phone and also the user ref from the data. Then we can perform some operations here. Here is exactly where we have to now construct the new user. So just similar to what you see here. We can even give this just data, just give it a data once in order to make it more simplified. Here we construct that new user. So what a new user does now is to take the dispatch. So we can now use register and dispatch with the new user. But don't forget that we have to also add the password over here. If not, we are going to have error. So that should solve it for the registration. Then else, if the type is equal to login, we have to grab the email from the data. Remember that password is only coming from this place. Then we can now dispatch the login. And when we are dispatching the login, we have to use the structuring, because in our action we use the structuring to put those data out. We can pass the email address and also the password. So hopefully that should be okay for it. So let's kind of log in with john@gmail.com and let's hit on continue. we do have an error because we don't have an onSubmit function. So here I kind of use onSubbed instead of onSubmit. So we can hit continue, and this was supposed to be enter password and not enter email address. So this is password. Then default here is password as well. And here we have to set password. Oh guys, please, I'm so sorry because we are in the wrong component. So this is email address. So in the password components, this is password, not. So I kind of make mistakes sometimes. So I can just pass one password and can hit enter. So you could see everything is working perfectly, because when we go over to our login components, we should be able to get, it's kind of refresh our application. We should be able to get something like let me just kind of console.log the email and the password. So let's hit enter again. Put john@gmail.com. And let's put password Samuel, and let's log in. So hopefully we are not able to get those data because something is wrong. So we have, so guys, I just kind of checked around. We don't have any error. Everything went perfectly because we grabbed the email here and the password. So when we send, we get a 200 response status showing us that that user is actually logged in. So the only thing remaining now is that we are not yet paying attention to whenever a user logs in. So what I have to do right now is we can let me just refresh this application because every other thing is in the state. I will use the use effect over here. So whenever the user logs in or registers, we have to monitor the is authenticated. So is authenticated is going to be coming from, so it's going to be coming from here. We are going to use the selector. I think we can grab it from here as well. Is authenticated. And I think we are in the wrong place for that message. So we use the use selector state.error. So state.error, let's kind of make sure it's exactly what we are using, because yes, so we are using state.error. Then for the is authenticated means that whenever the user logs in or registers successfully, we have to check whether this is set to true. If it's set to true, we have to replace this navigation. So we use navigation.dispatch. Then we use the stack actions. Then we replace the dashboard. We replace it with the dashboard component. So that's exactly what that means. Then for the error message, it's very simple. We just have to look around whether we do have an error message. If we do have an error message, we just have to print that message out, or else we just return a null text or a null value. Then here we can just give it a variant of let's say body, a color of danger. So our danger is a reddish color. Then we can give it a text align of center. So let's kind of go ahead and save, and let's hit login. So here I want to log in with a wrong email address. So I can use sam@gmail.com. Then here I can still use a wrong password. So hopefully state undefined is not an object, but let's check in our. So we're actually getting an error, but the error message is not kind of reading up. So guys, for some reason I don't know why the error is not actually catching, because when we check in our auth routes, so if we check inside this file, our error is supposed to be coming from here, but for some reason I don't know why we are not able to catch that error in our client application. So what I can actually do now, I did just set it to a custom error, and let's just go ahead and give that a single try. So I'm going to use, let's say, sam@gmail.com again, and hit enter. Then here I can just give it a password. So because the error exists, we are getting that custom error, but this error was supposed to be coming from our error.response.data. So for some reason, I don't know why it's not working. So let's just go ahead and log in with a user that is registered. So I'm going to log in with john@gmail.com, and I'm going to log in with Samuel. So hopefully if everything works perfectly, it should bring us to the dashboard, because if you check in this component, we are actually using the is authenticated to be redirected to the dashboard. So we are actually done with that first part, and let's go over to the dashboard. Although that probably we may still come back to working on our let's say, what is it called again, on our login action to catch that error. So right now inside the dashboard, I will go over to the dashboard.js file. So let's just start with the design. So right now let's proceed and start working on the dashboard. So over here, I'm going to first of all bring in the navigate, because we're going to be making sure that everything that we need, we have it first. I also have to bring in I think we don't actually need this one, but we are going to need the user account balance from the user auth. So I can bring in the account balance from user selector state.auth. So I can just define a function called onSwitch. So with the help of this onSwitch component, we are going to be using it to switch routes. It's going to accept the route number and also the router name. So we're going to be using that for our tabs. So what we're actually going to do is to check whether we are actually on the current route. So we check whether we are on the current route using the route number, and check whether it is 0, which is going to return a true or false. So the dashboard component is route 0, because if you check here, we have home, we have cards, we have transactions, and also we have more. So this is 0, 1, 2, and 3. So this one, we just take it as home component, which is 0. Then we just have to simply say if it is false, if let's say we are not on the current route, if the current route is false, we have to now navigate using the route name. So that's just what we have to do there. Then we have on call to action. So we have call to action, which is going to accept a route. So we have to say if the route is equal to send, we have to navigate to send. So why we actually use this on call to action is because we're going to be listing out some couple of boxes like send money, add money. So inside one of those, we have to just target a particular one called send. So whenever we are on that send, we can now navigate to that send component or the send screen. Then we can just, or let's just return navigate here. So that's it. And one more thing, we are still going to come back to making use of our socket. So let's go over to working on the design. But before we still proceed on working on the design, we have to make sure that we let me just quickly do this. So we have background color of white, and we can justify everything to flex end. So like I said, before we proceed, we have to make sure that we log in. So let me just quickly go ahead and log in. So we have Samuel. So if everything is perfectly, it's going to bring us. So you see we have the white background already showing. So we're gonna first of all have a box. with a height of 30%, 0.3. So we have background color of white, and also we have padding horizontal of medium. Then we have box reflects direction of row, a justify content of flex, and also align items of center. Then we have padding top of small. Then inside here we're gonna have icons for the name of settings and a size of 28 with a color of theme.colors.dark gray. So let's go ahead and close that, and we're gonna have a text with a variant of title 1, a color dark gray, a font size of 28, and a margin horizontal of medium. Then inside here we are just gonna have a pipe. So let me go ahead and save that. So you see we have the topmost part of the dashboard. Then after this text we are gonna have a touchable opacity. So this touchable opacity is gonna have icon for settings, I think, for notification, not settings, because we already done with the settings. So we have the name to be notifications, its size of 28, a color of theme.colors.dark gray. Then after that we're gonna have a box over here. So we are done with the first box. We're gonna have another box here with a background color of Barter. So let's kind of save things as we are moving on. We have a background color of Barter, padding horizontal, so guys, dogs were kind of disturbing me a lot, so I needed to take some breaks. So right now we are back, and we kind of made a mistake here. So we have a padding horizontal of medium, and inside here we're still going to add some more attributes. So we have padding vertical of medium as well. Then we can give it a margin top of small and the border radius of medium. So inside here we're gonna have box 1, and we're gonna have another box. So let's scroll a little bit down. So this one is going to have a flex direction of row. We have to justify the content to space between, and also align all the items to the center. So inside that box we have text, a variant of title 1, color of black, and a font size of 30. So this one is going to have the account balance that we brought from the user reducer, and it's going to have a text of the price. So let's give it a font size of 12, the margin right of medium, and here we have 00, 00. Right here we have dots. So the only thing remaining here is the money sign. So I was actually using Naira sign, but you can use dollar sign. It all depends on your choice. So when we save, you could see we have that nice yellowish background. So we need that text, we need this text over here. I think we need this text because we have a justify of space between. We are gonna have a box here with a background color of dark gray. give it an inline styling of padding horizontal of 10, padding vertical of 4, a border radius of small, justify contents of center, and also align the items to center. Then here we're going to have a text with a text align of center, a variance of title 1. We have a font size of 15, a color of black, a style of an inline style of color of black as well. So I kind of give this a color of black and also an inline styling of colors of black, which is not appropriate. So one color is already enough. So here, like I told you, I was using Naira sign. So I'm still going to grab that Naira sign to replace the dollar sign. So because we want everything to just be the same thing. We don't want a discrepancy in what we are doing. So this one, we are going to have a material icon. So I think we do have an icon. I can just scroll up and copy one of these and now paste this, and let's change this to material icon and change the name as well. So the name is going to be arrow drop down with a size of 18, a color of black. So hopefully we should be able to get something showing us. So I think I run myself into a trouble here because we shouldn't be getting any error. So the error is saying that let's quickly scroll up. It can't find variable material icon. So this is material icon, not material icons. And once we log in again, so once you log in with Samuel and come over here, so you see that that's kind of nice, but something is actually wrong. So like I said, that something was actually wrong was because this was supposed to be inside the text as well. So let's go ahead and save, and we have these nice narratives. So guys, your account balance is supposed to be showing because I kind of give every user a, yes, whenever any user registers, we usually give that user a particular account balance. So if we check here, we should be able to see an account balance given to every user that just registered using the generate number from our back end. So just go ahead and make sure you change this to account balance. So I didn't get the correct spelling. That was why we got a null value in the first place. So we actually done with that. Then the next one now is beneath here. Remember that we have a box. So remember that we have a box wrapping everything here. So here we're gonna have another box. So this box is going to have a margin top of M, margin bottom of M as well, for a box, and we can give this a width of 90. Then we have a background color of dark gray, and this one we also have to give it an inline styling. So we have padding horizontal of 5 and also padding vertical of 7. Then we're gonna have a border radius of small, align items of center, justify content of center as well. Then we can give it a margin top of center, of small, not center. So here we're gonna have a text with a variance of title 1, font size of 15, a color of black. Then we can just add this to add money. and let's save and see what we have. So here you will have add money. I think everything should be justified to center. Let's say text align everything to center. So we have add money. So everything is kind of looking very nice, except for the fact that we've not yet concluded on using using the remaining height. So we already have a height here, although we justified everything to the bottom. So we already have a height here. So beneath this box that has that particular height, beneath this box, we are going to have something called container. So this container is going to make use of the remaining width so that this can automatically go up and give us a very good space. So you could see what just happened right now. So this container is just like a scroll view. Sorry, it's the native based container. Then the container is going to have a content. So let's just go ahead and keep doing that. It's going to have a content. So all these are coming from the native base. So inside here, we can just give it an inline styling of padding bottom, of theme dot spacing dot extra large. Then let me just go ahead and save this. It's not bad. So, but we are gonna remove show. I think show vertical scroll indicator. You have to set that to false. So inside here, we're gonna have a box, a flex direction of row, and also a flex wrap. So why we are using flex wrap is because we want it to repeat twice. We want it to repeat twice. We are not using something like flat list. So flat list is actually the best thing to use to do something like this. So give it a flex wrap, then justify the content to the center. And inside there, we are going to now use that actions and map everything. So we get the title, the icon, the color, and also the call to action. So here we're gonna have a box. Give it an inline styling of background color, So each of them we have a color. So remember that in the boilerplate, in these actions, each of them does have a specified color I added to it. So that's what we are actually using there. So just quickly scroll down, and you're gonna have a padding, overall padding of medium, a key of title. So key usually comes in the first place. So don't always forget that when you map something or loop, you must always add the key. Then we have the width. So the width is the width divided by 2.3. Then we have the height of 120, and we have the margin of small, and also we have the border radius of medium. So this solves that, and we are going to add a touchable opacity with an unpress on call to action. So like I said initially, we now pass the call to action. Like I said initially, the call to action was the route. So over here we're using the route. So this is supposed to be the route. Over here we're supposed to be using the route. So we are just only sticking to one route. We are not using all the call to actions from our actions over here. So we have call to action of request money, send money, buy, and also pay. So we are just limiting only to send, because other things are like other features which we are not working on this video. So we are just working on the send money and also receive money. So that's why we are using call to action of send money. So let's go ahead and make that box show right now. So we have a style of border radius of 100, and we are gonna have a padding vertical of medium, padding horizontal of small, a background color of white, a width of 50, So what you see here is just like a round shape, something like that, a round shape. Then we can add the icons inside. So we have a width of 50. You can justify the content to the center, align the items as well to the center, and give a margin vertical of center or small. Then here we can pass our icon. So let's save and see what we have. So hopefully we shouldn't have an error, unless we do have one that is saying we don't have false elf. So quickly let's find that false elf, and that is it over there. So let's save again and log in. So we are still going to come to load user, because with the help of load user we will be able to log in automatically without even stressing ourselves. So right here you could see we have those icons, and that's exactly what I was talking about. So when I click on this, it comes to the send, but for all these ones, they are just they are not with a call to action of send. So we have align items to center. So this should make it come to the center. Then beneath this, we are going to have a text, a variant of title 2, for a font size of 13, a font weight of 700. Then we can give it a title. So let's save that and check. So you could see we have request money, send money, we have buy airtime, and also pay bills. So we're almost done with that. So the next thing remaining now is to work on the last one. So this one is gonna have the dollar card. Okay, yeah, let's use tab gesture handler. It's gonna have the dollar card design, something like a box with a padding horizontal of medium, padding bottom, I think margin bottom of large, and here we have a box with a margin top of large as well. So we have a background color of Barter 3, padding vertical of large, border radius of medium, a height of 150, justify content to center, align items as well to the center. You can give them padding horizontal of large. So inside here we're gonna have an icon. So let me just grab one of these icons and just quickly rename everything that we want. Let's paste this and change this to end typo and give it a name of circle with plus. So we have 35 and give it a color of Barter. Then we have text with a variant of body, text align of center, padding horizontal of large, a margin top of small, and this one is gonna be tap here to create your dollar card now. So let's save that and see what we have. So you could see we have that nice looking box over there. So the only thing lacking is just that these things are not in the center. So like I said, I usually make that mistake. So right here you could see we have that nice looking box over there, and it's kind of touching the edges. So I suspect that I didn't type this correctly. So you could see we have that nice looking box that is saying add this to the center. So we are done with that, and let's work on the last one before we work on the tab navigations. So after this tab gesture handler, we're gonna have a box with a padded horizontal of M. So always make sure you type this correctly. I know I'm trying to use the auto suggestion, but it's kind of very lazy to programmers as well. It makes programmers lazy. So we have the image background. So I already provided the image background with, we are gonna add a source. So we have pattern, and we have a style of height of 100, 180 with a width of 100%. So let's close this. This is supposed to be image background, and inside here we're gonna have a box with a justify content of center. Align the items to the center. Pattern left of large, pattern right of extra large, a border radius of large as well, and inside there we're gonna have a text with a variant of title 2, a color of white, a font weight of 700, and inside here we're gonna have send a redeemable gift card to family and friends. I think I usually misspell friends and also friends, so even if I don't get it, just help me correct that in the word. So let's save and check. So you see right now we have send a redeemable card, and I suspect I still mistyped this. I don't know why I keep making that mistake. So let's check. Probably that should solve it, but so what's the problem now? So we have align items to the center, text align as well to the center. So the problem is that I think this is justify content to the center and align items to the center. So this was supposed to be in the center. I don't know why we can't get it to go to the center. So I don't actually know why, but if you check here, we are using the image background, then we have send a redeemable gift card, and can we just do something like padding top of 100? Let me see. Or let's use like 50. So 50 should be the best for it. So right now we have that at the center, which is not bad. And I think I can remove this text align to center so that everything stays properly. So you could see we have that nice looking dashboard now. So we are almost getting done, because the only thing I think remaining now is the tab. For the tab, we are going to work on it quickly because we don't want a delay. So this tab is just similar to most of the tabs I usually do on my tutorial. So I'm just not going to waste much time on it because we already have a video. I'm going to put the link in the description that you can actually use to watch and learn how to create a React Native tab. So what I will just do is to grab that tab. So I'm just going to give you, let's just do a little brief summary while we program it along. So I'm not going to waste much time on it. So we're going to have a box. So this box is going to have a height of 70 and a background color of, I just want to give it a background color of danger so that you could see exactly what I'm working on. So you could see that box over there. So what I want to do here is, inside this box, I'm going to add another one, give it an inline styling of styles.tabs. So I think I have styles. So okay, I've not yet added that, but I'm gonna bring that in. So this styles.tab is a CSS. So let me just quickly bring that in. So right here, you could see the CSS I'm using. We have the tabs, which we actually make every tab to be at the center. Then we have the container of the, I think we don't even need this, but let's just leave it there, or we can still get rid of it. You don't actually need it. Then we have, for each tab, we have the width and also the height of each single tab. So that's exactly what we are doing for the tabs. So inside here, I just have to say menus.map. So this is just the only thing I'm going to do. Then for the other one, I'm just going to put it down. If you want to learn more about tabs, you can just check down on the channel. You would see React Native tabs. I think the post tutorial covered a very good, gave us a very good tutorial on that tabs. So here we just have to add an index, give it a style of styles.tab. Then we can give it a key. Then here I can now bring in the tab component. So for the tab component, like I said, I'm not going to waste my time. So that's the only thing remaining. So I'm just going to quickly do that. So each tab is going to accept the index and the route. So the route is actually what we are using here. I think, okay, the route name. Then whenever we press, we have to just use the onPress function, which we are passing from the tab, to use the route name and navigate to wherever we want to navigate to. So this, the onSwitch. So we already put down the onSwitch when we started, because we use the route number and the route name. So we check if that route number is exactly the same route we are actually focused on. If it is not, then we can just move ahead, so that we don't navigate to the same route over and over again. So we just like move to another route so far it is not the same route number. So that's exactly what we did here. So first of all, I'm going to save this one and close it down. Then I'm going to save this one. So we didn't do anything much. And so right here, you could see when I navigate to any other one, it's going to navigate. But when I navigate to home, you see that we don't navigate to home, because the home has the same route number as this as the route number that we are actually using. So that's it. So we are almost making progress and we are almost getting done. So the next one now is to work on the card component. So if you have really come this far, please do make sure to hit that like button and also the subscribe button. So let's go over and work on the transactions component, which happens to be, okay, let's work on the card component before we go over to the transactions component. So the card component is not going to take much of our time. So let me close every other component and let's focus on that one. So here we have to bring in the box and justify everything to the flex end, because we're gonna give one of them a height. So inside here we have the first box, which is gonna have a flex of 1 as well, a padding horizontal of M, padding vertical of M. And we have a box with a justified content of space between, and also align the items to the center, a flex direction of row. So here I'm just gonna add, let me just add a free box there, but let's still move ahead. We are still going to come back probably to work on that one. So let's have a box here with a width of 120, a border radius of small, a background color of primary light, and a justified content of center. So we have align items to center, and one more thing is padding vertical of small. So inside this box, we're going to have a text variant of body to a new card. So this is just like a small green something. I think, why did our app crash? Can't find variable false. That was the old error. So our app was not supposed to crash. So we have some more. So it brings us to the card. So the card component is kind of closing things. That was not supposed to happen, but I think okay, probably because we use triple EU there. So let's go ahead and refresh our application. So our application, we log in with this and we can come over and everything should still work pretty fine. So that's probably because we are using the wrong text. That was why we had that crash. So below this, we're gonna have another box with a margin top of extra large. And inside here, we're gonna have a box with a background color of Barter. Then we have border radius of large, a height of 220. Then we have padding vertical of large. So we have flex direction of row, justify the content to space between, and also a padding right. So guys, always watch out for the mistakes. Then inside here, we're gonna have another box. So let me just, one more thing remaining is we have to align the items to the center. We're gonna have another box with a background color of Barter 4. So this background color is for our card. So we have border top right radius of large, border bottom right radius of large as well. We have padding left of medium and also a padding right of medium. Then inside here, we're gonna have a text, a variant of body, a color of white, font weight of 400, and we can say limited use card. So right now you could see our card with limited use card. So we can make this just small letters. So here we have another box with a text variant of 32, a color of white, and we are going to be using, let's just give this something like a default price. So this was supposed to be a Naira sign. I think we have the Naira sign at our dashboard component. So let's just go ahead and copy that quickly. So that was supposed to be here. And we can come over to the card and paste it. So I copied a lot of things. So then beneath this box, we're gonna have another box with a margin top of medium, padding horizontal of large, and we're gonna have a text, a variant of body, color of white, font size of 12. Then we have Samuel Anthony. So You can just use your name over there. Then we have another text with a variant of body, a color of white, and also a font size of 25. So the AI is kind of helping me a lot. Then we have a margin top of small. So this one is going to have these codes, these numbers I mean. So we have 4137, and we can give it another number, and we can just give it another number. So let's go ahead and save. So you see exactly what we are doing, looking more like a card now. I think it's still remaining the validation and the validate. So let's just quickly go ahead and do that. So we have a box with a justify content of space between, a flex direction of row, padding horizontal of large, margin top of medium, align items of center, then we have another box with a flex direction of row, then we have align items of center, then we have another box with a margin right of small, so inside here we're going to have a text with a variant of body, a font size of 9, a line height of 10, and a color of white. Then we have valid, let's say valid till. So we have to break this down with a line break. So we can use this to break it down. So when we save this and check back, you can see that validity, but it's kind of not actually looking nice because of this padding. So we have padding till. So let's go ahead and complete that. We have another box here, the text color of white, variant of body, then we have the dates of expiration. So not bad. So we have almost everything done. And for the line height, this line height is kind of a little bit small. Let me just increase it a little bit. So this is not bad, and this was supposed to be margin because it's too close to each other, and that solves it. And one more thing is to give you the name of the card. Maybe it's a Visa card or any other type of card, whether MasterCard. So you can just give it a box with a text variant of title 1, a font size of 25, a color of white, and a text transform of uppercase. Then here we can just give it a Visa title. So you could see we have our card set, and one more thing remaining is for us to come over to the dashboard. So in this dashboard, I'm going to grab everything here, and we can just paste it at the top here. And lastly, you can just grab the tab. So this was supposed to be the tab here, finishes here. So we can just copy that and come over to this box. Let me get rid of this. We can just break this down and paste that. So definitely that should be able to solve it. And one more thing remaining is because we didn't add the styles. So you can just okay, let's do it this way. we can just quickly import from the dashboard. So we can import the styles, and that should solve it. So when we log in and come to cards, you could see our navigation, our tab navigator with our card. Then when we go over to the home, it should definitely bring us to the home and that was because we don't have navigate from navigation. So let's save and try it again. So it goes to other ones, but okay guys, sorry, this was supposed to be 1. So when we come over to the card, it's now 1. So you could see it's working. And when we come over to this one, it's going to switch to it, but it's not going to switch it twice. It's going to switch to others as many times as possible. So we are almost done. The only thing left for us now is to work on the transactions and also the more. Then we can work on the send money and receive money. And if you have really come this far as well, please do make sure to hit that like button and also the subscribe button. Thank you. So guys, let's go ahead and work on the transaction screen. So the transaction screen is over here, and it's kind of gonna look similar to the dashboard. So I'm just going to copy this. Let me just copy everything here. Then we just have to close only one box. So let's paste it and close only one box. So let's save and see what we have. And I think we are missing some things. Couldn't find touchable opacity, which is not really that hard. What we can do is to still come over here. We can just copy exactly what you see here, and can still go ahead and paste that. So let's save and log in again. So we are almost coming to the end of the tutorial. We're almost there. So coming here again, we are still missing something. We can't find account balance. So you can't find account balance is because in the dashboard we provided account balance from the user account. So let's just copy that and come over here as well and paste it. And don't forget as well to bring in navigate from the navigation. So let's save and let's try one more. Oh, something is still missing. Use selector, I suspected so. So for the use selector is as well simple. You can just go ahead and copy this and still paste it. So hopefully we should be, I think we should be able to proceed right now. So let's check again, and everything is looking pretty fine and pretty good. So you can even do something like align flex start so that it automatically stays at the top and not have to disturb you again and again. So that's it. Now let's start working on the main things for the transactions. I think we should just touch this yellow background a little. It's kind of touching the edges, which is pretty not good. So at here, I think this is supposed to be padding horizontal so that to space it out. So it's kind of better this way. So same thing you did for that one, do it also for the dashboard. So I'm always using the auto suggestions, which is very good, but sometimes can make you to be lazy. So you see everything is kind of very nice. So coming back here, let's start working on the transactions components. So beneath here, we're gonna bring in the container. So the container is going to take the remaining height and the remaining width. So the content is just like a scroll view. We're gonna give inline styling of padding bottom, of theme, dot spacing, dot extra large, as well as the show vertical scroll. We set that to false. Then inside of it, you're gonna have a box reflects direction of row, a justify content of space between align items to center. Then here we have a text So this is just the last 7 days transaction. So make sure you save everything properly. So we have that nice looking text. I think one thing again I forgot here is to add let's just wrap this on a box because I don't want to touch that one for now. And let's give this one a padding horizontal of medium. So we have transactions for the last 7 days, and we're gonna have another box beneath this one with a flex. So this is supposed to be a box with a flex direction of row, a padding horizontal of medium, a justify content of space between. Then we have another box here. So this box is supposed to be for our graph. So maybe probably later we are still going to come back to learn about React Native graphs because I also want to build cryptocurrency application for us. So we can still come back to build the graphs and also perform some animation for our cards. So that will be probably when I'm done with the Flutter course, because I promise I'm going to finish it. I've been very busy these days. So we have a padding right of extra large. Then we have the box with a margin bottom of medium. Then we have a text with a variant of body font size of 12. So let's give this a total spending. And we're gonna have another text with a color of danger, a variant of title 1, and a font size of 25. So this one is 0.00. Then here we just have to quickly grab let's go to the card and grab the Naira sign. So let's just copy this, come over here and paste that and clear the price. So hopefully we should be able to see something that looks nice. Say text must be rendered inside a text. So I don't know where I'm making a mistake. So in case you see something like that error, just go ahead and locate where probably there's an empty space that is containing a text that's outside of text component, because I kind of looked around, I couldn't find anything, so I had to take time and just look around. So everything is working perfectly. We don't have an issue. So when we save, we see the total spending. So here we still have one more box to add. So that is supposed to be the box for total money received. So let me just go ahead and save that. You could see we have total money received with the price as well. So it's just going to list out all those things there. So we are almost done. So beneath this box here, we're gonna have a box with a padding vertical of medium. So these are the ones that is going to list out all our transactions. So we have to say if there is no transactions.length, or if the transaction.length is greater than 0. Sorry, if the transaction.length is less than 0, then we have to say something like a text with let's give it a text align of center. Then we have no transactions for last 7 days. Else we're gonna have a box. So let's kind of format this. We're gonna have a box. So inside this box we can now list out transactions from our transactions array. So these transactions probably should be coming from transactions schema or transactions model that's going to be recording every transactions in your database whenever a user sends or receives money. So you now have to find a way to make it unique for a particular user, and also it should be in a list of order. Just like when you're talking about user chats. So here we are going to get the name, the type, the price, the purpose, the date, and so let's wrap this. This is supposed to be double parentheses because right here we can pass the index. So this is I think I'm kind of missing something out. So let's wrap it in one more and let's break this down. So let me kind of use null. I wanted it to format properly. So here we are going to have a parenthesis that is going to have a box. And we're going to give it a key of index. So let's break it down and also break everything here. Here we are going to have a padding horizontal of medium, flex direction of row, justify content of space between, margin bottom of medium, align items of center. Then we have padding vertical of medium, and also a border bottom width of 1. Then inside that box, we're going to have another box. It's going to have a text. So this text has a variant of body. Then we have name of that user. For this one, we have the date of the transaction. So all these things are already in the array, in the boilerplate. You can just check around, you will still see it. So we have the date, and don't forget to give it a variant of body, a font size of 5, and also a margin top of small. So let's save and check. So right here you could see we have the user listed and also the, I think this was supposed to, okay. Okay, yeah, we are in the right track. I was thinking maybe I'm doing mistake. So we have the user listed. The only thing remaining now is the transactions or the money sent or received by the user, for the user or by the user. So beneath here, we're gonna have another box. So this box is gonna be a text with a variant of body and a font weight of 600. So here we have to check for the type. So if the type happen to be a send type, we have to return negative. We're gonna use the Naira sign again. So let me just grab that quickly. So we use negative of that money, and we can now set the price. So this was supposed to be backticks. So make sure you do everything properly or it won't work as you wish. If not, we use that same backticks, put the Naira sign down, and we just have to put the price, which is a positive price. So here, we just have to get rid of this and put it at the end, and we should be okay with that. So you could see that the ones that we sent are negative, the ones that we are going to be receiving are in positive. Then for us to give it a red or green color is very simple. We still use the ternary operator. For the color, we say if the type is equal to received, we set it to primary color, or else we set it to danger. So let's save that. You could see we have that nice transaction. So yeah, we're almost done with that. So the only thing remaining for us to do now is to still go to the dashboard or to the card and grab the tab navigation. So there's actually a way you can also use animations to do your navigation, but I think I've not done that before, but there's no big deal there. It's still something that is very, very, very easy. Maybe one day we are still going to try to do it. So let's save, and I think we should have an error because I don't have an onSwitch function. So I will just grab this onSwitch function and come over here. And paste that. So I think for the account balance, I think I was supposed to be using account balance here. Well, let's just go ahead and save. So you could see the tab, but the account balance is not actually necessary here because we don't need it over here. So you can just get rid of every component that you don't need in these transactions. Everything that you don't need. It kind of makes your code looks neat and very organized. So we have the transactions for the user, both the one the user sent and the ones the user received. So we are almost done, and the last one is to go over to the more components, and let's quickly go over and do it. So for the more component, before we proceed, I just want to grab this. I want to grab these lines of codes, and let's go over to more. So you could see the more component there. So we can just paste this, and we are going to return a parenthesis. Then we have a box with a flex of 1, a background color of white, justify content to flex end. So here we are going to have another box with a flex of 1, a padding of medium. Then we have a text variant of title 1 with a color of black and a font size of 30. So we have here more things you can do. So you could see the more immediately took effect, and to make it look more faster, we can just go ahead and grab our tabs and put it down. So I think it starts from here. So don't make the mistake of cutting it. So make sure you copy it properly. So let's save, and you can see when we go over to transactions, it comes over to the more, it comes over. Everything is looking almost done. So we need this text. We are going to have another text with a margin top of medium, font weight of 600. Then we are going to have a variant of title 2 with a font size of 25, margin bottom of medium, and also we're going to add receive money. So this is where we're going to be listing out our account number for the user, for each user that just registered. So we are going to have a box with a background color of Barter 3. So we are about to list out our account number. Then we have the padding vertical to be medium, padding horizontal as well to be medium, a border radius of medium as well. Then we have a box with a flex direction of row and align items to the center. Then we have a text with a color of black, variant of body. Then we have Barter account number. So this is where we are going to be listing out our account number. So we are almost there. Why is it on the floor? Why is it not at the top? I think it's because these things are separate. So let's just cut this one and put here and see what we have. Okay, everything is back to normal. So I kind of close this outside where it should be. So we have the Barter accounts Then we are going to have another text with a variant of title 1. And inside here, we're going to have a color of black, a font size of 18, a margin left of small, font weight of 700. Then we have user.account number. So let's save. The user is not yet here, so we are supposed to get that error. So to get a user, you can say user, we can just quickly grab the user from use selector from the states.auth. So save that and let's go back to login. Okay, we still don't have that, but we're gonna come back to fix that, because I think we can just access the account number using the structuring, but let's just kind of try something out. So I'm gonna use here account number. So let me just console.log that account number. So it shows undefined. So here we have account balance, and we have the account number. So account number is in user. So here we are supposed to destructure the user. So let's kind of try to grab the user. So the user is null, but I don't know why. So guys, to avoid error, what I actually did was to go over to the auth reducer. I added another account number key. Then I came here, instead of us to be using the payload directly, I just decided to add an account number, then specify the payload.user.account number. So it will just add it together for us, so that over here we can just destructure with account number. And right here, we don't even need the user again. We can just use our account number directly, and it's going to show that account number. So what we're gonna do next, we have to come beneath this box. So we're gonna have another box that is going to contain the bank name. So let's give it a flex direction of row and align the items to center. Then we have a text with a color of black, a variant of body. We have bank name. Then we have another text with a variant of title 1, a color of black, a font size of 18, and also a margin left of small. So we have a font weight of bold. Oh, let's use a font weight of 700. That will be the best. Then here I can just give it the name of the bank. So I use Bold Skills Bank. So you can just use the name of your bank in case you're a banker. So you can just go ahead and save that. You could see we have the bank name as the Bold Skills Bank. So we still have some things to do as well. So here we're gonna have another box with a padding vertical of large, and we're gonna have a touchable opacity. So inside here we have box with a flex direction of row, justify content to space between, and also a border bottom width of let's use 1. So guys, we're almost done with the tutorial, just that we have to finish up. and here we can give it a padding bottom of medium, border bottom color of primary light, and we have another box with text, variants of title 2, font size of 17. Then we have this one as invite friends. We also have another text of variant of type body. So let's use body here with a font size of 14. So let's say get paid for every friend that signs up and uses Barter. So let's save that and see what we have. So I think we're almost done. We are getting there. And let's go ahead to add the second one. So this one is a box, reflects direction of column, and a margin top of M. Then we have padding horizontal of medium as well. So inside here we have a text with a variant of title, a color of black, font size of 20, font weight of bold. Then inside here we have make a payment. Then beneath that text we are going to have touchable opacity. So inside this touchable opacity we are going to have a box with a margin top of medium. It reflects direction of row and justify the content to space between. Then we have margin top of small, a border bottom width of 1, and then we have a border bottom color of primary lights. Then we have padding bottom as well of medium. So make sure you spell things correctly. Then the next one inside that is going to be a box. So this one is going to contain a text with a variant of title 2, a font size of 17. So this one is pay with QR code, and we can add a text as well, the variant of body, and a font size of 14. Then we have make payments with Visa QR. So let's save that, and I think we've run into an error again. So what is that supposed to be? So it's saying a value of title does not exist. That is because a variant of title. So where is it? So this was supposed to be make a payment is supposed to be, I think, title 2 or title 1. Let's use title 1, and let's log in and click on more. Not bad. So the only thing is that is kind of joined together with the one at the top. It's kind of joined together here. Okay, not bad. We have a flex direction of row of we have a flex direction of column. So guys, I'm just trying to check everything. So the only one I know that we are having a mistake on is this one, because this was supposed to be doubled. but I don't think anything is wrong with it, so let's still leave it this way. Not bad. So I'm going to copy this for one more last list. I'm just gonna copy this below and paste it and save. So when it shows, I think I didn't copy it properly, so I'm supposed to copy it together with this box, so the whole box as a whole. You can just copy that and put it here. So this is send money to WhatsApp, and this one is send money to your friends on WhatsApp. So I think we are almost done, and this one is supposed to be send money. So let's save that and let's see what we have. So we are done with the more. So everything here is looking nice, not bad, and we have our account number. So whenever we want to send a user money, we just have to come over here and take the account number and send the money. So the only thing remaining right now is for us to work on the send money screen, and we are going to be able to do that from this component. So please, if you have come this far, please don't forget to hit that like button and also the subscribe button, and also share this video to your friends. This video is just gradually being taught, and even if you are new to React Native, this is a very good educative video for you. So thank you once more, and let's see you on our next video.